welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and I'm here again with Greg, and we're going to run the rule over the striking positions at Everton. Now, the big question in this show is how do we get the best out of our strikers and get our strikers to be more clinical? So, Greg, what would you say is our best? Obviously, we're starting with three players up front, if you like, the two wide attackers and the central striker. Who would you say is our best trio at this moment in time for those roles?
That is the million-dollar question at the moment, because as soon as we get firing, then I think that's when we become a dangerous team. Personally, I think Calvert-Lewin's out of the question for me at the moment. I'm going to be very kind to him here and compare him to an Olivier Giroud type player. I think he's at his best. Yeah, I think he's at his best when he's physical, holding the ball up. You know, his main game isn't scoring goals necessarily, but that relies so much on the players around him. Being on target, like Richarlison and Sigurdsson were last season. I think that's why he had such a good run in the team. Neither of them have got off the mark this season, so Calvert-Lewin just looks like he's got no use up there.
That is an issue, of course. We talk about Calvert-Lewin underperforming, but like you say, his assists for players like Richarlison are key, and Richarlison's been very disappointing so far this season, hasn't he?
I think he's probably quite knackered, to be honest with you, just coming back from an international tournament. I think he needs a little break out of the team, personally. But who comes in to replace him is the big question. I don't want to see Walcott starting for 2 or 3 games in a row.
Yeah, it is concerning, really. I mean, we've got Lincoln and then Wolves. Then there's an international break. What happens if Tite picks Richarlison for the Brazil squad and he plays there as well? Any chance of him getting a proper rest seems to go out the window there.
Yeah, big time. I hadn't even thought about that. I was going to say, if you can afford to drop him against Wolves, then, at least he gets sort of 3 weeks off if we don't play him against Lincoln. But it's a very good point. If he gets picked for international duties, then he really doesn't get a rest. I think that's why we needed another winger so much in the window, and why Marco Silva stressed getting a sort of a left-footed right-side player so much.
That's the issue, though. We didn't actually get a left-footed player. We got Iwobi, who is strong on his weaker foot, but nonetheless, we didn't actually get a proper left-footed, maybe inverted winger that Marco Silva wanted to cut in from the right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really hurt us, do you think?
I think in terms of depth, it's going to really hurt us. You sort of look at that straight away and think Richarlison's going to need a break, or what if he gets injured? But I don't think anyone really considered that, he might not even be fully fit going into the season straight away. So I think it's hurt us almost instantly.
I think it's really concerning, to be honest. I think Richarlison really needs a rest. We've just got to hope that maybe his poor form off the start of this season convinces Tite to not play him in the Brazil games, which may work in our favour in terms of giving him a proper rest. But I can't think with him being like the hero of that final, and he had some good performances at the Copa America. I think it'd be wrong for Tite to drop him from the squad, and he will get selected.
Yeah, I imagine he will as well, yeah.
With that in mind, the one maybe positive from the flanks has been maybe Bernard. He did okay against Watford. He scored the goal. He done okay against Crystal Palace as well. Perhaps not against Villa, but even then he was far from the worst against Villa as well. It's going to be a big season for him. Obviously, his first one with a pre-season under his belt. Is he going to be one of those trio, do you think, maybe to continue his role in the team?
I think Marco really nailed it when he sort of said in the press conference that Bernard is a special player for us, but he just needs to be more selfish. Obviously, his goal contributions last season did leave a lot to be desired. But, that goal against Watford, it showed that he was he had a bit more ruthlessness than he did last season. And if we keep seeing that, I hope he is part of that three. But with Iwobi breathing down his neck, either that makes him perform more, or it means we have a decent backup in Iwobi.
What's the possibility? Maybe we never saw it much at Arsenal or for Nigeria, but could Iwobi play on the right if maybe Richarlison and Walcott aren't cutting the mustard? Yeah,
I suppose so. I guess it just comes down again to Marco Silva's stubbornness, really, doesn't it? He likes to bring on Walcott for Richarlison. It's almost like it's set in his mind now from last season. With Iwobi, I almost think if he's going to be utilised anywhere else, it should be sort of more central, just in behind whoever we choose as striker.
With that in mind, what about Sigurdsson? Could Sigurdsson take on the role on the right flank?
Yeah, possibly. I've never particularly liked him as a winger, but I see Lincoln as a perfect chance just to trial some things, and that could be a good trial for the Lincoln game. Just see if Sigurdsson can play out there.
I think, like you say, it's going to be quite a trial game, if you like. I mean, we've got to win that, because if we don't, we're in the serious questions for Marco Silva. I think we will win, but he's going to have to find the right system. Lincoln are obviously going to set up defensively, I'd imagine. So, again, it all comes down to how we're going to break down a team, because we couldn't do it against Crystal Palace. We couldn't do it against Aston Villa, and obviously they beat us. We need to find a way to produce the quality needed to stop teams who are playing this low block against us. Very similar to Martinez again.
It is. I'm seeing a lot of equivalence from the Martinez season. We seem to be on this roundabout where we either can score but can't defend, or we can defend and we can't score. There's just constant problem of a sort of unbalanced squad that we have.
Yeah, we haven't really had a properly balanced squad since David Moyes, really, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, yeah.
And in fairness to Marco Silva, I think he's been trying to address that. But I think a combination of maybe bad luck with Gbamin, but also Richarlison, Sigurdsson not performing really isn't helping. Calvert-Lewin maybe not being at the level he needs to be a Premier League striker. Mm-hmm. And obviously Moise Keane still needs to settle in. It's a difficult set of circumstances at this moment in time, I think.
Yeah, it's just about finding that front three, really, isn't it? Finding out who's firing and who's not. Letting certain players rest, easing certain players in. I can't see until about December. It took us a while to sort of throw Bernard into the team and realise he was part of the front three last season. Tosin was getting quite a few starts last season. It does take a while for the front three to really settle in. As long as we've got a defence sorted, we sort of have a little bit of time to get that front three in place. But I just think it needs to take a bit of time.
Now, you say you need to figure out who's firing and who isn't. What about in situations like right now where literally nobody's firing?
Yeah, I guess that's just giving Iwobi and Keane a bit more time, isn't it? Just to see if over 90 minutes they can. Because, Iwobi came on and he had the best chance of that game for me. Or, maybe Walcott had the better chance. Calvert-Lewin definitely had the best chance. But, Iwobi made the clearest, hit the post, unlucky not to score. I think over 90 minutes, he probably could have tucked one away.
Certainly, I think Walcott seriously needs to... Well, I don't know what he needs to do, because we're talking about... We're going to start going into that old potential thing. He's 29. Yeah. He's 30, actually.
I don't know
what's he got to do to learn how to finish?
I don't know what the question is Marco Silva has in his head that Walcott's the answer. Late in the game when we're not scoring or creating anything, I don't know where Walcott comes from as a solution.
Walcott only seems to offer us anything when maybe we're in the lead and we can counter-attack a team with pace. That's about all I can think of with Walcott right now.
Yeah.
But seriously, we need to consider what this new front three is going to consist of. I think it will be on the left, maybe a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to pick a front three right now, who would you go with?
If I had to pick right now, I think it would be Iwobi on the left. I'd maybe give Richarlison the number 9 just for the game against Lincoln.
Mm.
And start Walcott out on the right, just as my Lincoln front three at least.
Going forward, what about the Wolves game?
All depends on how those three perform. But my Premier League start would probably be Iwobi, Keane, and Richarlison as a front three.
Fair play, yeah. That's not a bad move. What about the idea? This is a very David Moyes kind of idea. What about Moyes Keane on the wing?
Personally, I've never seen him out there, but if he can play out, then which wing would you mean?
Probably on the right. Better still, I've just had a brainwave myself. Why not play Keane through the middle and give Calvert-Lewin a chance on the right? Yeah,
I don't see why not. Yeah, he looks more naturally a winger, I think, Calvert-Lewin than Moise Keane does. I think Moise Keane's too sort of physical and naturally going for goal to be a winger. But
also,
Calvert-Lewin.
At the moment where we're struggling for deadly finishes, we need our best finisher through the middle. So I think
absolutely.
to move Keane onto the wing might have been quite an absurd idea on my part there. I'm not going to lie.
No, but I think Calvert-Lewin might be a good shout off the wing.
I mean, it might just give him a chance to find a bit of form again, because obviously he's not cutting the mustard in the centre. Richarlison's not really looking up to it at the moment, and there needs to be quite a massive reshuffle. But to be honest with you, it needs to be a reshuffle of the whole. As we said in the last show, we needed to reshuffle the midfield trio and the attacking trio. The whole six in front of that defence needs to be altered in some way, shape, or form. So it's certainly a conundrum for Marco Silva now, especially given that it comes off the back of such a poor result and performance against Villa on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite a. There's a lot more pressure on us going into this Lincoln game than we would have liked to think. We have to win. It's embarrassing if we get knocked out by Lincoln, but we have to perform as well. I think now otherwise there'll be some serious questions about where we go with our team setup going forward.
Yeah, I think that's the big problem, because we have to perform and we have to win the game, but we also have to experiment, which sort of puts the result more at risk. Because we can't go into that game with the same starting 11 that played so poorly. We need to find out if different players could be playing better in those positions. So we're in a bit of a catch-22 of how much do we experiment at risk of not getting the result we want.
I do think we will. The players do need to up their game and need to improve. Maybe Richarlison needs a rest. Other than that, though, it seems as though the onus is going to be very much again on Marco Silva to get it right. He's got to be on his A game against Lincoln on Wednesday.
Yeah, big time. All about how he sets up, I reckon. So,
in conclusion, basically, how do our strikers need to be more clinical? We need a tactical reshuffle, don't we?
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
and
we need to find something fresh.
And that starts with Lincoln on Wednesday, it seems, and then moving ahead to Wolves before that international break. So let's see what happens. Lincoln away on Wednesday is the next game to keep your eye out for. Hopefully we bounce back. It's a good chance, I suppose, with less than a week gone since that Villa debacle. We've got to bounce back, and hopefully we'll come back strong, and we're back at Goodison then for Wolves. So plenty to still be optimistic about, hopefully, provided Marco Silva gets it right. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Lincoln game on Wednesday. So check that out. There'll be plenty more content in the build-up to that game. Until then, like and comment and subscribe. And thank you to Greg, of course, for joining us today. And thank you guys for... And thank you guys for tuning in on the Toffee Blues. See you guys later.